Are you ready to have your mind blown and your heart filled with wonder? Come with me as we delve into the mysteries of the universe and find beauty in the meaningless. Hi there! Welcome back to Some More Talk. Last Monday we discussed existential nihilism and the fact that the universe is ultimately meaningless. While this perspective may be depressing for some, I personally find it to be a source of wonder and amazement. When we look back at the history of our civilization, we can see the incredible progress we've made as a species. From the invention of the wheel to the development of the internet, humanity has come a long way. Understanding the evolution of our societies and cultures is equally as important. It gives us insight into where we came from and how we got where we are today. But it's not just our own history that's important. From the birth of the universe to the formation of galaxies and the evolution of life on Earth, understanding the natural world gives us a sense of perspective. All of this together gives us a sense of wonder about the world around us and a better understanding of ourselves, our societies, and our place in the universe. And this is why understanding our history, progress, and the universe is not just a nice to have knowledge, but crucial in shaping our worldview and the way we move forward. Alright, so let's dive into the subject of the birth of the universe and the formation of galaxies. The Big Bang Theory is the most widely accepted explanation of the birth of the universe, which states that the universe began as a very hot and dense singularity, an infinitely dense point, around 13.8 billion years ago, and has been expanding ever since. One thing which supports this theory is the cosmic microwave background radiation. At about 10 to the power of minus 37 seconds after the Big Bang, the universe underwent exponential inflation, smoothing out any irregularities. Some 379,000 years later, the universe had cooled enough for photons to travel freely. These photons have been traveling freely ever since and have stretched into the microwave region of the electromagnetic spectrum. This is the afterglow of the birth of the universe, and missions such as the Wilkinson and Anisotropy probe, WMAP, have recorded this afterglow. The cosmic microwave background radiation was predicted by the Big Bang Theory before it was detected in the 1960s. The cosmic microwave background shows minute temperature differences corresponding to quantum fluctuations which were blown up by early inflation. Of course, the formation of galaxies is not only about the visible matter, but also the mysterious dark matter. Dark matter is a hypothetical form of matter which is thought to make up 85% of the universe's mass. It doesn't interact with light or any electromagnetic force, but scientists infer its existence through its gravitational effects on visible matter. It plays a crucial role in the formation of galaxies, as its gravity helps pull matter together, leading to the formation of dense regions where galaxies can form. These simulations are run on the world's most powerful supercomputers, and they become ever more detailed and accurate. The Hubble Space Telescope is a telescope that was launched into low Earth orbit in 1990. Since its launch, it has provided some of the most incredible images of space ever taken. The Hubble Extreme Deep Field, HXDF, is a series of images that were taken using the Hubble Space Telescope and released in 2012. It covers 1/32 millionth of the sky and contains about 5,500 galaxies. Some galaxies that are visible are less than 1,000,000 years old. These images captured some of the most distant galaxies ever seen and allowed scientists to study the early universe in unprecedented detail. But of course, we can do better than that. The James Webb Space Telescope is the successor to Hubble that was launched on 25 December 2021. It arrived at its location, the L2 Lagrange point in Earth's shadow, in January 22. On the 11th of July 2022, the Webb's first deep field was published by NASA. The image shows thousands of galaxies more than the HXDF and contains the oldest galaxies we've ever detected. The field of view was comparable to a grain of sand at arm's length. So, now let's move on to one of the most fascinating and mysterious subjects of all, the origin of life. We will skip over the birth of the solar system and Earth, but in a nutshell, the Sun formed around 4.6 billion years ago from the debris of a supernova, and Earth followed around 4.5 billion years ago. The emergence of life from non-life has never been replicated in a laboratory. One of the most prominent hypotheses for the origin of life is that it arose around geothermal vents in the deep ocean. These vents provided a source of heat, energy and chemical compounds that could have led to the formation of the first living organisms. These geothermal vents could have supplied the energy required to drive the chemical reactions necessary for life to originate. The theory is expanded upon in this book. The book is called The Vital Question by Nick Lane, and it delves into the origin of life in a really interesting way. The main argument of the book is that the fundamental driving force behind the evolution of life on Earth is energy. According to Lane, the key to understanding the origin of life and its evolution is to understand the biochemistry of living cells and how they harness and manage energy. One of the most important ideas presented in the book is that the flow of protons over a gradient is the primary energy source that drives life. Lane argues that this proton gradient, which is maintained by the membrane potential of cells, is the key to the emergence of life on Earth. The flow of protons over a gradient is what allows cells to generate energy, and this energy is what allows life to evolve and adapt. This proton flow powers everything from the mitochondria to nerve conduction to muscle contraction. Personally, I found this book to be incredibly thought-provoking. It provides a new perspective on the origins of life, one that emphasizes the role of energy in biochemistry. If you're interested in the origin of life and want to understand the fundamental principles that make life possible, I highly recommend reading this book. One key concept within evolution on Earth is the last universal common ancestor, or LUCA. It wasn't the first life form, but rather the ancestor of all living life forms on Earth. Scientists believe that LUCA lived around 3.5 to 4 billion years ago, and that all life on Earth today can trace its origins back to this one common ancestor. LUCA probably lived near a geothermal vent and already contained DNA and ribosomes, the machinery to synthesize proteins. I want to mention another book by Nick Lane called Oxygen. I've read it some time ago, but I couldn't find it to show you. The book is a follow-up to The Vital Question and goes into more detail about the role of oxygen in the evolution of life on Earth. In the book, Lane argues that oxygen allowed for the evolution of more efficient energy production in cells and ultimately led to the development of multicellular organisms. Oxygen allowed for the evolution of mitochondria, which are organelles that produce energy in eukaryotic cells, and also led to a better use of sunlight energy in the form of photosynthesis by plants and algae. However, oxygen also brought with it negative effects. Oxygen is highly reactive and can be toxic to cells, so organisms had to evolve mechanisms to protect themselves from its damaging effects. Lane describes how organisms developed ways to detoxify oxygen, including the use of antioxidant enzymes and the development of metabolic pathways that reduce the amount of oxygen in cells. If you're interested in the evolution of life and want to understand the important role of oxygen in the history of the Earth, I highly recommend reading the book. One of the most interesting concepts in human evolution are the mitochondrial Eve and the Y chromosomal Adam. These are the most recent common ancestors for the matrilineal and patrilineal lines of humanity respectively, based on genetic analysis. The mitochondrial Eve refers to the most recent common ancestor for all living humans in the matrilineal line, meaning all living humans can trace back the maternal line to this one woman. The mitochondria contain their own DNA, which, in normal circumstances, is passed on from mother to offspring. Similarly, the Y chromosomal Adam refers to the most recent common ancestor for all living humans in the patrilineal line, meaning all living humans can trace their patrilineal line back to this one man. This doesn't mean that they were the first humans, or even that they lived at the same time. It simply means that all other lineages have gone extinct. Mitochondrial Eve may have lived 120,000 to 156,000 years ago, and Y chromosomal Adam may have lived 200,000 to 300,000 years ago. This was before anatomically modern humans left Africa. The out of Africa theory is the most widely accepted explanation for the origin of modern humans.
A painting in a cave system in France, a little over 30,000 years. You know, it's us in caves. Homo sapiens. Same species. Her people, our people, didn't live in caves for decades or centuries. It was millennia. 5,000 years in the same place, making the same images.
According to this theory, modern humans evolved in Africa and then migrated out of Africa to colonize other parts of the world, starting maybe as early as 270,000 years ago. This theory is supported by a wide range of evidence, including genetic, fossil and archaeological evidence. As they were doing so, they replaced earlier humans such as Neanderthals, which had left Africa much earlier. One of the most intriguing archaeological sites that has been discovered in recent years is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. This site predates the Neolithic revolution by several millennia, but it has provided valuable insights into the emergence of early human societies. Göbekli Tepe consists of a series of circular enclosures with T-shaped pillars, and evidence suggests that it was used for religious or ceremonial purposes. However, more recently, archaeological evidence of domestic settlements has also been found. The discovery of Göbekli Tepe has led to new questions about the development of human societies and the role of religion and ritual in the earliest human cultures. If you want to know more about it, the channel Religion for Breakfast has a great video about it. Next, I want to talk about some of the early civilizations that played a significant role in shaping human history. These civilizations developed thousands of years ago, and yet their achievements and innovations continue to influence the world we live in today. Starting with Mesopotamia, an area between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in modern Iraq. It is home to some of the world's first cities such as Uruk, Ur, Kish and Eridu. These cities were known for their impressive architectural structures such as ziggurat temples, as well as their development of writing and complex systems of government. Mesopotamian civilization also made significant contributions to fields such as mathematics, astronomy and law. Moving on to ancient Egypt, the civilization that developed around the Nile River. The city of Memphis may have been the first densely populated city in the world during the Old Kingdom, which started 4,700 years ago and lasted for 500 years. This was a time of extreme stability and the time the Great Pyramids were built. This civilization is best known for its monumental architecture as well as its complex systems of writing, religion and government. The Egyptians also developed sophisticated techniques for agriculture and irrigation that allowed them to thrive in a desert environment. The Indus Valley civilization, which developed in present-day Pakistan and western India, was notable for its impressive urban planning and technological innovations. This civilization is known for its well-planned cities and advanced drainage systems. In ancient China, civilization emerged around the Yellow River Valley, known for its advancements in agriculture, metalworking and writing, as well as for its development of complex systems of government and social hierarchy. Finally, the Olmec civilization, located in present-day Peru, which is considered to be the mother civilization of Mesoamerica, developed a complex system of government and religion and were known for their impressive sculptures and monumental architecture. These early civilizations, while separated by vast distances, had many similarities in terms of their political, social and cultural developments. For example, writing developed independently in many of these places. That brings us to this book that provides a unique perspective on human history, evolution and the current state of the world. The book is called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. The book is an overview of human history, starting with the emergence of Homo sapiens in Africa and continuing all the way to the present day. The main argument of the book is that the key to understanding human history is to understand the cognitive, emotional and social revolutions that took place in the brains of our ancestors. Harari argues that these revolutions enabled Homo sapiens to become the dominant species on Earth and to create the complex societies we have today. One of the key concepts presented in the book is the role of shared myths such as religion and money in the development of complex societies. According to Harari, these shared myths allowed Homo sapiens to cooperate in ways that other animals could not, and this cooperation is what led to the development of cities, states and empires. Overall, I found this book to be an interesting perspective in human history and our current state of the world. Harari presents his arguments in an accessible and engaging way, and the book is filled with interesting facts and insights. If you're interested in human history and want to understand the forces that have shaped the world that we live in today, I highly recommend reading this book. Somewhat related is this book, A History of God by Karen Armstrong. The book is an examination of the concept of God throughout human history, focusing on the three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam. The main body of the book is that the concept of God has evolved over time and that it is intimately tied to the social and historical context in which it was developed. The book presents a detailed account of the various conceptions of God and that have existed throughout human history, highlighting similarities and differences between them. The author also explores the way the concept of God has transformed through history, especially in the Abrahamic traditions, and how the conception of God has evolved from polytheistic to monotheistic, from anthropomorphic to transcendent. The book examines how these concepts of God have impacted human culture and society, from their impact on politics and society to their role in shaping art, literature, and other forms of human expression. The book provides a valuable and deeper understanding of the history and evolution of the concept of God and its role in shaping human history and culture. If you're interested in the history of religion and want to understand the development and evolution of the concept of God throughout human history, you should definitely read this book. Now we turn to the near future and the future of humanity in space. We have not left low Earth orbit since our last Apollo mission to the Moon in 1972, but eventually we will venture out further into the solar system and perhaps even beyond. I want to mention two things we can do in space: asteroid mining and building a space elevator. Asteroid mining is the concept of extracting valuable materials from asteroids, which are small celestial bodies that orbit the Sun. These materials can range from precious metals like gold and platinum to water, which can be used as rocket fuel or as a source of drinking water in space. The idea is that by mining asteroids, we can access resources that are rare or expensive to extract on Earth, and also pave the way for future space exploration and colonization. Also, asteroid mining may eliminate the need for terrestrial mining, which is extremely bad for the environment. Asteroid mining is still in its infancy, and many technological and logistical challenges need to be overcome before it becomes a reality. Scientists and engineers are currently working on developing the technology to locate, capture and mine asteroids. This includes the development of new propulsion systems, robotic mining equipment and methods to extract the minerals from the asteroid. There are also legal and economic challenges that need to be addressed, as there are currently no international regulations in place for asteroid mining. However, with advances in technology and an increasing interest in space exploration, asteroid mining could be an important step towards a sustainable future in space. A space elevator is a proposed transportation system that would lead from Earth's surface to space. The basic idea is to have a cable or ribbon extending from the surface of Earth all the way to an anchor point in space. The elevator would then be able to transport people and cargo between the Earth and space without the need for expensive and dangerous rocket launches. The concept of a space elevator has been around for decades, and while it may sound like science fiction, it's a real possibility. The main challenge in building a space elevator is to find materials that are strong enough to withstand the enormous stress of being suspended between the Earth and space. But with recent advancements in materials science, such as carbon nanotubes, it may be possible to build a space elevator in the future. Finally, we skip ahead even more to the future of the Earth, the solar system and the universe. While the vast majority of human history has been focused on our short-term survival and well-being, when we look at the far future, things get a lot more interesting and mind-boggling. Let's talk about the fate of the Sun and our solar system. In around 5 million years, the Sun will have expanded the nuclear fuel in its core and will have expanded into a red giant. This expansion will cause the Earth's oceans to boil away, and the Earth itself may be swallowed up or thrown out of the solar system, depending on the model and parameters used. Earth may become uninhabitable in as little as 800 million years, as the Sun increases its energy output as it burns through its fuel. On the other hand, other planets or moons in our solar system might have a different fate. Scientists have discovered that Jupiter's moon Enceladus and Saturn's moon Europa have subsurface oceans, making them prime candidates for potential life. The European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moon Explorer, JUICE, will visit Europa sometime in 2031 after 8 years of travel. As the Sun's habitable zone stretches outward as the Sun expands, these moons may become habitable. But the story doesn't end there. Our Sun is one of a countless number of stars in the universe, and the universe also has a long-term future. In the distant future, the expansion of the universe will continue until all matter is evenly distributed and the universe reaches thermal equilibrium, meaning no more energy will be available to do work. This is known as the heat death of the universe and will happen sometime around 10 to the power of 106 years from now. That's a 1 with 106 zeros. That's an unfathomable amount of time. It's amazing to think about the vastness of space and time and the incredible journey that our planet, solar system and universe have ahead. As we've discussed in the beginning, the sense of wonder is what drives us to explore and understand the world around us. And the more that we learn about the universe, life and our history as a species, the more we realize that the wonder of life and evolution is precisely because it is unguided. There is so much to discover and understand about the world we live in, and the journey of discovery is ongoing. If you're looking for further reading and resources, I would suggest checking out these books and the sources in the description. Thank you for watching, and remember to always strive for knowledge and never stop wondering. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. See you next time!